Welcome everyone to another episode of Trek Talk with Tech and Kirk. I'm TechMan16.
And I'd be StrangeKirk.
And I'm Handy.
And today we're gonna revisit Server 12 because they're going through an RoE revolution, and we're gonna talk to Byrd about.
Say it ain't so.
Say it ain't so. We're gonna talk to Byrd about what was the proposed new rules of engagement, what happened with the Admiral's vote, what happened with some of the top alliances, and what's going on right now. And then we're going to switch over to Server 34 business, where a bit of a shakeup. Handy got Grand Admiral Key, Chef, and Grazi to come to Nona, and some hilarity ensued. So we're going to talk to Handy after he gets his coffee. But let's start off with Byrd. Byrd, how you doing today, man?
Byrd is a word.
Bird.
Ah, I love how all three of us went there at the same time.
Of course.
Hey.
What's going on, Bird?
Fuck us.
Some technical
All right.
Well,
difficulties.
he'll be back. Okay.
I don't know what the hell happened. Shut up. Anyway, what's up, guys? Sorry about that.
How's it going?
Going pretty good, man. How are y'all?
Excellent.
Can't complain.
So yeah, tell us about what happened with. So first of all, who proposed the simplified rules of engagement? What were they? And you guys had a vote on your server about it. How did that vote go?
Well, there's a second vote going on now. First vote, 11 alliances. It was kind of hastily put up. But I will post what we got on podcast. I thought I did a screenshot of it. I'll find it and redo it again. But
might wanna put the mic closer to your face.
Can you hear me now?
Better.
Okay. Anyway, I'll find it and I'll repost it. Doing the screenshot. Basically, man, we took what the original rules were, basically short. We did change a few, like the whole base thing. That is where you couldn't originally you couldn't defend your own base. That has been changed now to you can defend it. It just ends when the bubble goes up or when the resources drain. Couple of little things. I mean, it's not a major overhaul. The other significant change is like warships on nodes. First, it was a 30-minute warning, which was ridiculous to begin with. It had to do with deep space, and that was before Discovery came. So now we've changed that from 30 minutes to 5 minutes. My opinion on it is pretty much everybody in the server has more than one miner or survey ship that they can send in to replace a node. Why are you going to sit and hold a node for 30 minutes with a warship? Which pretty much, I mean, who's going to sit there and wait 30 minutes to copy warship?
I think your 5-minute rule of a warship on a node is still 5 minutes too long.
It is what it is. I think it came into play just as an appeasement rule for those who are for the 30 minutes. It's not like anybody's going to sit there and just actually just go pop a warship just to do it if there's an open node.
Right. Well. Okay. So, tell me about how these rules were. You said hastily put together. As simplification.
No. It was the vote was hastily put.
Oh, the vote was okay. So I remember talking to Bundy, and he was the one who originally either posted on the Server 12 Discord or sent the rules to me. Was he the one who took the initiative to put them together?
Basically, it started out as far as I know Gooch and Bundy had talked, and then uh, Gooch reached out to me and a few others as well, and we all just kind of put our heads together, and he would send me any kind of change on the ROE as it was being put together. And the final thing is what everybody came up with, which was it's a fairly simple, but it's to the point. Some were looking at it like, well, you're going to have loophole hunters, and come on, it's to the, what we had was a damn legal document. You had to look through three different things just to see if you broke a rule or not. This is just 7 rules, very simple, very to the point, and it holds the players more accountable, especially in terms of doing Diplo themselves instead of running every 5 minutes. Oh, I got hit on a node. I don't think it was a 0 node. So they run the Diplo with it. They tie up Diplo to play Star Trek Fleet Command, Discord Command. It's it
Yeah,
was just it's just completely meant to free players up, higher level players up from having to play get on Discord about a damn 0 node. Because most of
right.
these,
And then take a bunch of screenshots and whatnot and share the
oh
screenshots and
yeah,
complain.
and the biggest gripe about it right now. I mean, some are complaining about the whole change up of the Armada thing. We're not doing the whole 1+ regen. Take a screenshot of an Armada, see if somebody had sniped it to prove that you didn't snipe it. It's just stupid. And that's another thing we were trying to cut down is that players having to get 3 or 4 screenshots just for one particular rule.
So talk to me about the vote. Why was it hastily put together? You said only, I think it was only 11 alliances that voted out of, possible whatever it was, like 30 or something.
Well, from
Why
what I
was that?
understood, go ahead. From what I
No,
understood, it was thrown up. We explained it, but you have certain people. I mean, I guess it was misunderstood as to what the rules were or something. I don't know. All I know is to me, it's just fairly obvious. It's not that hard to. It's not that hard of a concept to grasp, but they saw it thrown up. Only 11 people voted for it, and it
and
failed the first time.
so what was the outcome? How many for, how many against?
6-5.
6-5 against.
Yes, and it was up there for a week. That's what I don't understand. I mean, it was up there for a week. They'd ask questions, we tell them, and then finally, when it failed, four 4 groups. Well, actually, originally it was 3 groups who voted for me. Just go ahead and run with it. Some were a little upset that we did so, but I mean, it's just why are we sitting there? Especially all I can't explain or tell you why other alliances did. I can tell you why DMJ did. Because our alliance ROE pretty much mirrors what was proposed. So it made sense for us to say, we're not following that rule setting. We want to follow it.
So here's
And
my question, because your server is so litigious. Why is it that if it failed one time, why was it put back up for a revote?
well, I had a conversation with Light of Shadow from Future, and when I mentioned something about putting something up for a revote, he said, I don't see why we couldn't do it. He said there were some alliances that were confused by it. And again, I fall back into the line of what's so confusing about the new RoE rule set. And he just said preaching to the choir. So basically, I put up asking, hey, let's put this back to a revote. I had an AOD second the nomination, and then we got it going. And right now, it's 11-4 and 3 against.
All right, so let me get this straight. The first vote, which failed, had people confused about the simplification of rules. I can't make that up. This is just funny.
I'm just telling you what was told to me. I don't get it.
Oh my god. Because I think what I read was, the vote was failing. Because I didn't actually see the tallies, but what I read on the server was the vote was failing, but all the top alliances were going to do the simplified ROE anyway. And I think at that point somebody proposed a revote because they're like, whoa, what do you mean you guys are gonna do it?
Yeah, like I said, it just I didn't understand what they were talking about being confused. So I just went ahead and put it back up after it was requested of me. I put it up, and the rest I have no explanation. I can't tell you.
All right. Well, I mean that's good. At least people are now paying attention and are willing to be a little more simplified and actually enjoy themselves when they play the game. You mentioned there's a war going on between UFS and Future, right, on your server. Is that still going on?
Yeah, that's still going on.
Yeah. All right. And that was caused by UFS's admiral getting. Okay, I want to ask you about this because I don't know if you have any more details. Because from what I understand, the admiral of UFS got pissed over because his or somebody's Latinum node was sniped. And so he dropped tags and started dry hitting or decaying, as you guys call it, Futures miners. And then, is that what happened?
Basically, you had one of Future's guys was sitting there egging the shit on. Let's just put it like that. And it started. The whole thing's stupid. To be honest. And personally, publicly, I'm not going to take one side or the other on them. But I do think the whole thing is stupid. Now with Joker, I'm sorry, he's one of those that somebody starts poking the bear, he's going full tilt. You piss him off, he's going to go full tilt. And that's basically where we're at now. Future's line of thinking is, well, this has happened before, so we're holding UFS liable because all of a sudden they're thinking, well, Joker's just going to go back to UFS and nothing's going to happen. So that's part of the reason why they're went to war with him to keep Joker from going back to UFS, to hold UFS accountable.
Well, I mean that's typical, and that's a standard response because you can't have a person dropping tags, hitting, and then going back without any kind of repercussions.
But here's the other part of it, where Future, throughout the whole thing, they were one of the biggest ones saying, "Hey, let's not pull past transgression into the rule set. Let's everything going forward. But yet, what are they doing? They're trying to pull a past history out. And now you see Joker went completely radio silent with everybody. When Wilson from UFS, Wolf, Janeway, all tried to contact Joker, and Joker would not talk to them at all. They were trying to get Joker to quit doing what he's doing. Wouldn't talk to him at all. At that point, when he's not having any, when they're not having any communication with that particular player, how are they, is Future supposed to expect UFS to be able to control one player in a digital game?
That's a very valid point. So the responses, I would say, or at least the negotiation would be what happens when Joker does start contacting people. Is there accountability for him not going back to UFS? Is he going to go solo? Is he, what the terms of...
Right now, there's really no telling. I know where you're getting at. There's really no telling with Joker. The Joker does what Joker does. I like the guy, I really do. Sometimes sometimes he might take it a little far, but I mean, I can't say this. I haven't done the same. I can't say Days hasn't done it. Chirac, Firestarter. Sometimes it's bigger players. I can't sit there and fault him, but at the same time, I can't condone what he's doing.
Right. No, I get it. So okay? Let me go back to it for a sec, because was this a Latinum node snipe on Mining Monday, or was it some other day of the week?
Mining Monday.
It was Mining Monday. Yeah, I don't know how it is on your server, but if you just wait, okay, because I don't really mind for points anymore, but if you just wait like a few hours, in our server there's plenty of Latinum nodes available throughout all the systems. Maybe Deep Space Latinum is clogged up, but all the other Lat nodes are pretty much available. How is it on your server?
For the most part, available. That's why this whole thing's so stupid. Really is. It started over freaking Lat node, and which I've said this publicly. The player who was involved in this, he's been a little. He started talking trash before him on the Diplo server, and I shut it down. I was like, dude, you're the one who started this whole thing, and yet you're sitting here saying Joker's all at fault here? No. Now, again, I'm not sitting here publicly going after one alliance or the other. That's between UFS and Future to figure it all out. But you've got to look at how did we get to this point and what started it. And yes, the player in question, he sat there and he was egging Joker on, and then he called him, said some line or something, and then ended it with Hun. Joker said, call me Hun one more time. He does it, bam, that's where this all goes.
I see. So there was a provocation and a response, and then all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose over a Latinum node, which can be found in any system on a Mining Monday.
Exactly.
Oh boy, that's fun. Okay. Yeah, we could say that. I want to ask one more thing before we move on to Handy. I want to ask about our favorite our favorite kind of unique individual, and that's Maverick. Because I was talking to him, and I don't know him in game. I just know him outside of the game. And we were supposed to do something, and he got busy with other things in life, and then he comes back, and he starts playing the game a little more, and then he just sends me a message saying he doesn't want to come on the show because he doesn't want to talk about who he is to everybody, either on server 12 or anybody else. But in game, you've witnessed some of his, I guess, crazier messages. So, can you enlighten us what happened in game? What's going on with his alliance? why the atmosphere around him, close to, I want to say air quote, rage quitting.
Basically, what's happened here is a couple of his players started. They got itching fingers. These 3 to 4 players, they don't agree with the RoE, or at least they say so. I I think they're just trolls. They just want to be assholes and hit whatever they can, and they get off on seeing people get upset. Anyway, like one of them told Mav that I declared my group, my alliance, me personally, declared war on 7, which is Maverick's alliance. And Maverick sends me this message saying, "Why are you declaring war?" I mean, he just almost lost it. I said, first of all, chill out. I told him, I said, I haven't said anything about going to war. And I knew exactly who was starting this. I said, I haven't said anything about going to war. And I've contacted other people from the let you know. Well, come to find out their Diplo was the one who told them I declared war. And long story short, Maverick kicked them. Went on this whole tirade in GC. Maverick kicked them. They basically declared war on the server. And just all they're doing is just going to go hit miners. That's all you can do. Why are you playing the game?
So obviously they're not strong enough to do anything. They're just like a small petty nuisance. And
their highest level players are 32.
Right, makes sense. Yeah, and so I'm assuming because I have seen this where he's got a bit of a quick trigger, if you will. So I guess he I don't know. He just kind of went off a bit. So I don't know. Is he still playing the game?
As far as I know, yes. I know AOD still has them on KOS. We didn't because I talked to Maverick. Maverick, I don't know what it is lately. You've been able to actually have a conversation without him going into some freaking psycho babble bullshit about him being a Starfleet officer for 30 years.
I really want to know that story though. Why he believes he's been a Starfleet officer for the past 30 years.
You blew my mind.
Maverick.
He believes he's a Starfleet officer.
Oh yeah.
They get dropped all the time.
We talked about this on the very first time that Server 12 was on. He believes he's been in Starfleet for the past 30 years. He believes that if you use like Romulan ships, you're a communist or of some sort.
Oh, that guy. That's right.
Yeah. Blue-bellied Romulan sympathizer or some crap like that.
Blue belly.
I don't know.
Oh man.
And he won't come on because he doesn't want to share who he is.
Yeah, that's the message he sent to me. That he doesn't feel like revealing who he is to anybody else.
Who he is. He can just come on and do his little persona shtick and give us our dumpster fire. He can even use his voice synthesizer if he wants.
Yeah.
And then after that, we can use that as a platform to show people some free mental health resources.
Yeah, get people help.
I don't think he's mentally unstable because I've actually we talked on the phone before and he seemed a pretty normal dude. So I don't know. I do want to.
He's doing it as a joke.
Well, I think so.
Just trolling everybody.
That's epic. That's epic level trollery.
Yeah, well, he said it himself last time I talked to him. That he enjoyed I was trying to get AOD to see that, hey, look, just talk to the guy and actually talk to him instead of being Nelson being Nelson
Well,
and
that's
talking
why we
down.
always ask people, did you talk to him? Because 99% of the time, all issues can be solved by just talking it out. And when people stop talking, refuse to talk, or are too stubborn to talk because they want to hold on to their hate, it's just a shame. And anybody like that, I'm just very, very disappointed in you as
Do
a
you
human
think?
being.
Do you think
But
that? Do
here's
you
the
think
thing.
that? Do you think he would be willing to come talk if we maybe, I don't know, like met at the Federation embassy or something?
God, who's trolling who now? But I don't know, man. The guy, he's special. That's all I can say, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just, I mean, if he wants to role play, that's fine and dandy. No role play. But he's also kind of put himself out there. I can't defend the guy because I mean he's put himself out there with his little rant that it's just become okay, dude. Just you need to either chill out and go play farm because he's always griping about not being able to farm or go mine. And if that's the only part of the game you're doing.
Yeah, I know I've talked to him a few times where he doesn't actually like his ships getting hit. So if he's KOS and he's getting hit, he's gonna have a quick trigger about it. He's very upset.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the easiest
Anyways,
way to
Byrd,
solve that is just stop hitting the guy and see what happens. If he goes
right?
away into oblivion, then great.
No, it's always
No, he'll
it's
go
always
back to the Federation to get some help. Anyways,
it will.
Byrd, man, I appreciate you coming on today. And
Appreciate you having.
let me know any more updates on what happens with the new row, the new voting, all that good stuff.
Okay, man. Thanks for having me on, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, Byrd.
Always, you're always welcome. All right, Handy, let's get back to you. Did you have your coffee yet?
Yeah, I am enjoying it now.
Okay, good. What kind of coffee did you get?
I got a latte.
Hmm. Any I don't know,
Any
coffee,
add-ins?
cream, or any? Yeah,
I
any.
did get vanilla latte, because I am very
Okay,
vanilla.
that's what she said.
Yeah.
Oh, your grand master plan to get Grand Admiral Key and Chef and Grazi perma into Nona. You said it took months.
Well,
What kind
just
of
months
scheming?
of chatting about it. It wasn't scheming. I'm just like, you know, I mean, it really started as just like, because I'm friends with a lot of the people that I talk to in the game. Well, because of issues with players, I end up talking to people like Grazi, um, Chef, uh, Key, uh, and then others like Crasham and Epi and Coma and all kinds of people. So, just in talking to these guys, the more you talk to people in this game or on Discord, in voice chats and whatnot, the more you become friendly with people and you realize they're just people. They're just another person on the other end, and it humanizes everybody. So your outlook kind of changes in this game. Um, and you realize pretty quickly that, it's just a game and these are all people and we're just trying to have a good time. And a lot of these feuds and hatred that go around on the server just isn't needed. You know what I mean? There's just no reason for it. Like, we can all have a good time together and all. Like, I'm not trying to say that everybody has to get along. I'm not that naive, but you can at least give somebody a chance.
Well, you're playing the Kumbaya card pretty hard. So
Yeah.
how did you get along with Key and Inko? Because they've had
Inko doesn't really
rival.
care. I mean, he's going to play his game regardless. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't affect him all that much. And he was like, it could be fun. Well, let's see what happens. Kind of sort of attitude.
Because
So it all
there was a
started.
period of time.
It
There
all
was a period
started
of
out.
time.
It all
Anyways, go ahead.
started. It all started out with, me proposing it in our officer chat, and I proposed it before, back a while ago, and got kind of shot down. Like, I don't think we're ready for that. Okay, cool. Bring it up later. So I brought it up later, and this time, I tagged everybody in our office chat. For example, a few of the people in Nona that are not happy about this, that are officers, have access to that chat, although they're not regulars there. Like, I don't think they come in very often and check it. And I know that, and I probably should have made an effort to reach out to them and talk to them, and I didn't, because I'm busy, and I'm always on Discord and stuff. So some of the extra work I probably should have put in beforehand. Some of the late work I didn't. So there's a few people a little grumpy about it, that I didn't, communicate beforehand.
And what was the apprehension that these people had?
Well, a lot of people, not a lot, there's a few people in Alliance that just don't believe that he is a good person or a good team player, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so easy to villainize somebody in a game like this, right? Like, if you have next to zero communication, and the only interactions you have with a player is seeing screenshots of the absolute worst stuff that they've ever said, and then you get the mob mentality going, and everybody's hating on the person. Well, you've created an image for a person that really you're taking their absolute worst moment, where maybe they've had a horrible day, maybe they've been provoked by our players into acting poorly, because there are people that do that, that know they can get a rise, so they'll troll Key, for example, and get him to act poorly, because to be honest, he goes there very easily, and he'll act very poorly to a situation. Sometimes he's been drinking, whatever, not an excuse, just kind of, he's widely misunderstood. He's not a bad guy. Talk lies is he's not a bad guy. He is a good team player, and he does. Our player base, our people, are a tight enough knit community and believe in their leadership enough to give it a try. And I think 95% of our guys are, are willing to do that, willing to give it a try. But there are a couple players that do not want to give it a try. They're being a little stubborn.
What you're saying is the majority of the people, out of all the people you brought in, have the most issues with Key. It's not Chef and it's not Grazi, but it's Key.
There's a couple people that are concerned about Chef, but I think those are the people that probably never listen to the podcast and don't talk much in the game or in AC, and they just don't know Chef. So Chef has been on this show so much that a lot of people have listened to it now that they got a feel for Chef. They kind of understand him a little better. He's been humanized in their eyes, right? And people are a lot more willing to give people the benefit of the doubt when they know more about him and they're humanized, right?
Sure.
He hasn't had that, not really.
I mean, that's true. He's only been on the show once.
That was a long time ago.
So, Grazi,
well, yeah. So
how did you went from ditching your own alliance?
I didn't ditch it. I mean, like, you know, I still the guys are still there, right? I got a leadership group that's in there that are taking over. But what I wanted to say about the Key part is that Key is a very, very strong team player. Whatever group he goes to, whatever team that he plays with, even though he comes off kind of tough on like messages and stuff like that, and everybody like has issues with him from time to time on the things that he says, it's a lot of that's misunderstood. As far as a team player, the guy's there for you, wants to help, and he's always been like that from the time that I've known him. Yeah, we've had some like nights where, you know, I've had them myself where I've had a drink or two and somebody says something that sets me off. Well, that happens to, I think, all of us from time to time. But the king troll of, like, you know, like Kirk can say, for instance, that he can get a rise out of people. Well, if you know a guy's hot buttons, you can touch them and you're going to set the guy off, right? So, and that's kind of what happens on some of the things where there's a little bit of history in the past with Key and somebody knows his hot buttons and they touch them, and then the guy goes off. I hate that happens, but the guy is all about team. And normally, whenever you talk to him, you'd be like, hey, look, man, this is how it affects the team. And the guy lines up. I mean, he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. So he is a really good guy and very much so a team player. So whatever team he goes to, he's going to play for that team. He's going to do very well. So I hate that he's thrown under the bus. And what I've seen is like people kind of pushing him over to the side, like not necessarily like with most or anything like that, but since we've jumped over to Nona, it's like, oh, okay, well, the guy wants to try some stuff and nobody's showing up. And one of the things that I've noticed is like, as far as like with me,
well,
like
that was only because it was late at night.
Well, that too. And it was Saturday, to be fair. I mean, you know how I do on Saturdays. I normally am like on the water or drinking heavily, and I don't really play that much. But as far as that goes.
Wait. Did you say you drink? I thought you were stone cold sober all the time.
Why in the hell would you think that? But no, seriously. Though, as far as like, there wasn't a whole lot of folks on and stuff like that. So I'm also contributing to that factor that people didn't show up. But there were several armadas and stuff that we ran and stuff. And it seemed like, to me, just looking at what was happening, is like, okay, well, these guys ain't showing up because he called them. And I say that because if Chef called one, people would show up. If I called one, people would show up. And Handy, you can speak into that. I don't know the dynamic. I'm just telling you my observations.
Well, I do know that there are a couple people in our alliance that won't get past their quote-unquote hate for Key. And if he calls an armada, they're probably not going to show up. Now, this is something I'm working on, trying to talk to him. One person's already left.
I'll help you all I can.
But it's not the entire alliance. It's just one or two people. That's
right.
What I'm really trying to get across. It's just a couple people. Most of our guys. See, the biggest thing is I didn't release an announcement beforehand. So I didn't give the alliance the opportunity to voice their concerns
Mm.
beforehand. And in hindsight, I would have done it different. And I know better. And I don't know why I didn't think it would be a problem. I just didn't. And, that was my mistake. And to be fair, none of the other comms, well, that's not true. Twisted actually said, hey, you better release a statement first or something, but I didn't see that message. So anyways, in hindsight, I would have done it a little bit different, but, it's in the past. Let's move forward. No big deal.
That's it.
That's the way I feel about it, but people don't.
But
So-
I want to go back to Most for a bit. And Grazi, you were admiral since who was it? Who was it that left? I can't remember the name now.
Big
Wasn't
man.
around. Big Moon. Thank you. So you've been admiral there for a while, and you've increased the power and visibility of Most up until you were the number 2 alliance at one point.
Yeah, and then we dropped down to number 4. So anyway, that's it.
Well, that's because a few players started gaining more power in other alliances. Just
That's true.
that's not necessarily your fault. But why is it that you left your post as an admiral? Did you just want a different challenge? Did you just want to try something new, or what's the deal?
Currently here, so Handy and I've been talking about for a little bit, and to be fair, I've talked to other groups too. Key and I, as far as like the things that we were going and hitting and doing, we weren't able to get the success rate that we needed and wanted with the group. And that's not their fault. I mean, as far as like their lower level players, they'd have to grow a lot to come out there and help. So what we had done is we were, my ACC, I jumped it up to 50. We could host 7 people, that kind of thing. We'd never fill them up because nobody could get to the areas we were calling armadas and such. So I started putting messages out to different people. Handy and I were always talking about different things from here and there. As far as like what they were doing in Nona, I talked to some other groups about what they were doing in their groups. And they didn't seem that they were having the same issues that I was. But when Key and I were showing up, we would have guys that could reach the area that were showing up in Jellyfish. On occasion, we would have other teams or other guys on our team that would show up in, like Katingas and Valdors, stuff like that. But as far as the hit rate that we were looking for, and with the new Armada role, we just weren't getting things done. So Handy and I had already been talking about like jumping around, and kind of getting to know each other, at least come over there and like see what things were like at Nona and so forth. So we had been talking about that literally for months. Well, maybe a month, not months, but as far as like those are things that we had talked about, and I told my guys, I say, look, I don't want to abandon you all. Here's the deal. I'm going to go over here because there's some other things that we need to get done. And as far as like our gameplay and stuff, I hope you guys will support it and so forth. And Handy and I, Inch, have always talked like on a pretty regular basis about different things, and I have no animosity towards them at all. And I said, okay, well, we'll kind of move over there and play for a little bit and see what everything's like. So as far as the future, as far as like where that happens and where it goes, don't know what's going to happen there. I mean, as far as like what I'm seeing right now, I mean, I've only been in here not even a full day, as far as like Nona. So we'll see where everything like plays out. But as far as like what we're able to do and the power levels that are here, we're able to hit a lot more things than what I was able to do with the group that I had. So it's nothing to like say that these guys that I was playing with are ugly, bad, or any of that kind of stuff. It's just that there are things that I haven't experienced yet for the power level that I'm at. And same with Key, same with Chef, as far as like being able to come over here and hit things that we haven't been able to hit before. Does that make sense?
So so at the end of the day, it was just as far as for your progression, it was almost a necessity that you get with a group that has people that have that higher warp range, the higher ship power that's able to actually do that, rather than having to blow a bunch of money and waste a bunch of Armada tokens hitting it 2 and 3 times.
Well, or more, or more. I mean, it's as far as in group wise, like I said, as far as like the guys that we're playing with, and that's also a factor here is that Handy and I, as well as some of the other guys that we're playing with at Nona, I mean, we're friends. And like I said, I haven't had the experience to play with them one-on-one, and I wanted to have that experience as well as some of the other guys that came over with me. So we wanted to see what all of this stuff was like, but as far as like on the server as a whole, I mean, again, what my focus is more along the lines of the friendships that we have on the server, as far as like and the group hatred and all that kind of stuff, and player hatred is what I would like to kind of minimize, and that apparently is still going on pretty heavy.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that happens. Like, I get it. Some people are never going to let it go. And to be honest, I really wanted to know who those players are in Nona and really see their true colors. And I'm not saying I'm going to do anything about it right now. I'm not saying anybody's going to get kicked or anything like that. But it does give us, as leadership,
kind of like a snapshot of what you got.
Yeah, and I don't believe so if somebody has a poor reaction, right? Like their initial reaction is, well, fuck this is messed up. Like, that doesn't mean I think they're a bad person or anything, or they need to be kicked out of the alliance. That's ridiculous. But it does give a little bit of insight into particular players. So I just, I think it's interesting to see who's willing to give it a shot, who isn't, and it's just more data to try and hone our team and get everybody where we want them to be.
For Grazi, what's the move? I mean, how long is this going to be sustainable? Is this something that you're looking at being permanent, or is this something that you're just kind of testing out? You don't really have that answer yet. You're just trying to feel it out and see how it works out for you.
Well, to be fair, here's the thing. Anytime you go and you switch or change your venue, right? I mean, whether you're going and moving to a new location, new house, new boat, whatever, you don't know what that's going to be like on the front end going in, right? So there's nothing I have to gauge until I go and actually move and go and start playing with these guys. I mean, because as far as that goes, you could go over there and say, you know what, guys, I'm sorry, but I'm having the most fun I've ever had playing the game since I've been over here. Well, I don't know that yet. I've only been here, like I said, it's almost been a full day that I've been over here at Nona. But at the same time, you don't know what that's going to be like. But it's fair to give some feelers out for what it is that you're playing into. I know what it's like in my group, as far as playing in most. I know how hard these guys work and what they want to do and what they aspire to do. I don't know what that's like playing in Nona. And like I said, so I can't gauge completely off of a day being in a group. But I'm willing to give it a shot and see what is happening there. I mean, I want to, and I'm going to give it everything that I've got while I'm here. I mean, it's just, as far as in-game wise, I'm looking at strengthening my relationships with the friends that I'm playing with. That's the bottom line that I'm looking at.
God, you sound like Chef.
No, I mean,
no, look, I wish he were on here, but I hope that makes sense. I just say, like I said.
Well, Chef is here. He's listening.
He's just kind of.
The Grazi, it does make sense, and I know that it's I am aware that it's still way too early to ask that question. I just didn't know. Oftentimes when we make a move like that, you kind of have a general idea in your head, like, well, I'm going to give it X amount of time and see what's up, and I'll make my decision based on that. Which is what I did when I went to Dark. I was like, well, I know a lot of the guys there. They seem pretty cool, and here I am a year later. So, yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there because I'm pretty sure that people listening to this are, probably thinking the same thing. Well, how long is it? Is it temporary? Is it just like a PR stunt? Something like that. So I just felt like I needed to ask
I
the
wouldn't say
question.
it's not a PR stunt. If like I said, as far as, I knew that me going over there would obviously get a lot of attention. But as far as like what it is that we intend to do is like meet the needs of both sides, right? As far as like my guys that are in most at the moment, when you go and take, our deep space hits and armadas and stuff like that, by what Key and I could do, as well as Chef while he was there, um, there's a big power shift there in the group. So I am curious to see how they deal with it. I am curious to see how many people stay with it. So there's some dynamics there that I'm also looking at as far as like, how our guys deal with things and the leadership that I left in charge.
And so, so have you left one single person sort of in charge, or you just kind of gave it to the group as a whole, the leadership group as a whole?
Well, as you know from the time that you were playing with me, I have set up a bridge crew per se. Each one has their different function as far as like the group. As far as like who I put at the helm or at the con, is Dragon Silver. She's at the helm at the moment. As far as I have, the assigned spots under that, all of those guys fill their role and they do very well as far as like the things that we have to do on a daily basis and what they handle. As far as like how that goes while I'm away, we're again looking to see how that is handled. But as far as like my XO and who is in charge of the group at the moment is Dragon. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it did. It did. It did answer my question. I was just talking about some of those things because now that you're not, I'm sure you're very much still in the loop on what's going on and everything that's there. But playing for another team, how
the relationships have changed is what you're saying.
Yeah, right. So it's a little different. Like at the end of the day, there's no button that you can click to boot somebody out. You know what I mean? Ultimately,
Right.
it's at the end of the day, it's based on trust and trust that they're gonna take what you say. Because at the end of the day, let's be real. At the end, you have technically, as far as the game mechanics are concerned, if nobody brings you back into a leadership position, that's it. You've lost the group.
Very true.
So
yeah,
so is that anything that entered into your thought? Like, well, what if these people get pissed at me and, I don't, I want to go back and I don't get my spot back or something like that? Or was that even an issue for you at this point?
Well, to me, anything that you go and do, like in life, there's always a risk in any choice that you make, right? So, yeah, it's a possibility that might not be something that I can rehelm. And if that's the case, then, it is what it is. Again, I'm not looking at like as far as like what I've lost with the decision. I'm looking at what we've gained as far as like the things that we're able to do with the guys that I'm playing with now, and as far as the group that we're that I was playing with, those guys I'm also interested to see in how they handle the things that have happened from here. And like I say, I can only go forward from there. I can't look at it and go, oh goddamn, I just screwed up here and like did all this stuff. I don't look at it like that. Either way, no matter what happens, I think that each of the players that are in Most and each of the players that are in Nona will be all right.
Okay, no, that pretty much answers my questions.
Long story short, I don't like. I know everybody's got their own and whatnot. It's part of the game mechanic to have enemies, but what I'd like to see happen is the blind hatred, where it's literally like hurting yourself. Like if you hate somebody that much in a little digital pixel pew pew game, I mean, you're just doing harm to yourself. It's freaking self-harm.
Well, again, and I don't mean to cut you off, Handy, but here's the thing. One of the things that the aspects of like what I've always said, I know Handy's not said it exactly this way, but again, we are not only playing a war game, it's absolutely a war game. We're also playing a social game, and our friendships and the things that we have in there, and maybe friendships isn't the right word, but our relationships that we have in the game is what's going to carry things over. I don't know when a server merge is going to happen, if it will ever happen for our server, because we've got so many people that spend an obscene amount of money like myself. But ultimately, the relationships that we have here over the 2 years carry on. I mean,
Grazi, there's okay, so for example, I was just on the DJ's podcast when Big Country was hosting because DJ is out. Mm-hmm. And he did a little shtick where I wouldn't say copied us exactly, but kinda. And that he wanted to talk about the dynamics of different servers, which is what we've been doing for months now. And he got a bunch of different people from different servers to come on and talk about the server, share info about it. Now, there are servers out there that are being merged that are similar to ours. So, it's...
But is a possibility, is what you're saying?
It is a big possibility. Big possibility.
Well, and if that is the case, what the deal is you got to think, on the guys that we've played with, the guys and gals that we've played with for the last 2 years, that is going to be the dynamic that carries us forward. I mean, some will go over to, the new guys that are coming in, but based on what I know of our server and what it is that we do, these will be setting the tone. I don't know that for sure. That's based on what it is that we do. I think that will be the case.
Well, I think we have a pretty tight-knit community here. And
completely
for the
agree.
most part, we all pretty much get along and work well together, which is why our server's been pretty successful, in my opinion. And when a merge happens, because I now was I used to be very skeptical. I'm like, we're a pretty busy server. I don't think we'll ever get merged. Well, I'm kind of changing my story after hearing all these other people speak about what's going on their servers. And now
we have no control of it, so that's
right.
A possibility.
But I see it as a very real possibility that we'll get a merge. I would not be surprised at all if it happened in the future. Well, and that being said, we got to stick together. I mean,
you look at what's happening to the. Our last show that that we recorded. Tech, did we release that yet? Did you release that yet? Okay. Well, I'm not going to reveal too much then because I want people to actually listen to it. But the last conversation that we had discussing server mergers, we spoke to 2 people. So make sure you all listen when it comes out. It's actually a very interesting conversation, some good insight into what goes on prior to a server merge, and you're actually seeing this mad dash for grabbing players and hey, when we merge, you should play with us, or this, that, and the other. Now it's a server that's merging. They're 2 pretty inactive servers overall, especially when you compare it to us. Especially one of them is very, very inactive. It's pretty much dead. But
those are the ones that we interview. But there's other servers that.
But what I'm saying is that you can get some insight into some of the things that go on, and I'm just saying it's when you listen to it, you'll understand why this conversation that we're having is so important. That whereas we may be on different teams, we may be fighting each other for these leaderboards. Once servers merge, if you don't think that the other server that possibly is going to end up merging with us is having this same conversation, they absolutely are. So if they're going to be trying to stick together, we absolutely should be trying to do the same thing, because that's the last thing you want to do is get left in the dirt.
well, not only will they be having this conversation, but you got to look at, their relationships and stuff. They're also capitalizing on that, right? So we also got to capitalize on the things that we've got with our players that are on a server. But the one thing that I noticed is that on these server mergers, as far as like who gets their server number, there's a competition prior to that. Don't know what that's going to be like, but I would like us all to work together to keep our server 34 as it is. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, and that's going to take that's a group effort. When I say group effort, not just an alliance effort, it's a group effort for the server.
Right.
which is going to require us to be united and play together. So, anyway, long story short, it behooves us all to bridge those long hatreds and
and put them away.
kind of get over it. I mean, you don't have to be friends with somebody. I mean, I'm not saying invite the guy over to your barbecue, but at least give somebody like Key.
I would invite him down to the barbecue. Just saying. But anyway, go ahead.
At least give him the opportunity to see how he plays, and then doesn't have to be forever. Doesn't have to be anything. Everything's open for discussion. But I'd encourage everybody to reach out and just treat each other well. We're all on the same server. We're all stuck together, and we all need to work together.
So, Handy, what would you say
Completely
to
agree.
somebody who may be thinking that getting Key and Grazi and Chef is like a power grab, like you're trying to distance Nona away from anybody else on the server?
I would say that it doesn't make a big difference.
And I would say that wasn't his intent at all, as far as like the things that we talked about. That's not the deal.
It just doesn't make all that big of a difference.
In terms of what, the power difference?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a couple players. I mean, no 2 or 3 players is going to make such a huge difference. It's going to change the way we play.
And especially when you start talking about the much higher power teams with multiple level 50s and all this stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's not. If it was
at this point, we stand to lose some of our most powerful people because they're unwilling to play with Key, basically.
Right.
So it's certainly not a power play. It's a social experiment, if you will.
Social experiment.
Yeah.
I like that.
I disagree with that. To be fair, I really don't.
You don't disagree?
Hell no, I think you're right. It is a social experiment to see how people react. I mean, and like I said, at the beginning of what I started talking in here, is that there are players that when Key started calling armadas and then people not showing up, and it's like, again, I know it was a Saturday, but at the same time, I said to Key, I said, yo, dude, I mean, if it's just you and me going and hitting this stuff, and he's like, well, what's the difference of what we were doing? And I'm like, there isn't, but there weren't people showing up, and people, if they don't support them, this will be a short-lived thing. I mean, everybody's got to give the guy a fair shake. They got to give me a fair shake. They got to give Chef a fair shake on the things that we're talking about doing. I've been in GC multiple times since I had Chef come into most. And I'm like, the guy's playing this way. The guy's a cool freaking guy as far as like what he's doing. And he's playing team-wise as far as like what it is that my code of conduct is. And he's playing by it. And he's freaking having a good time. We're all having a good time at it. And I wish Chef was in here to talk to some of it, because to date, all the stuff that we've done, we've had a lot of fun. We've had a lot of fun. And the dynamic of what it is that we've done is, again, we're playing a fucking game. It's about having fun. If you're not having fun, hang that shit up, go do something else. I mean, that's the whole deal, right? I mean, if you're not having fun and escaping from this stuff, and if you got all this animosity that's built up, and you got all this hate in your heart, I mean, I don't know
let me
what to
say
do
one
for
more
it.
thing too. Is at the end of the day, I don't want to lose anybody from Nona. I have been playing with these guys for a long time, and I appreciate anybody, whether they're a level 39, a level 35, a level 50. It doesn't matter
Right.
to me. All the players in Nona are important to me, and I respect all of them, and I don't want to lose anybody. But if I really believe in our players at Nona, and I truly felt that given all the information that they will absolutely give T a fair shake, and Chef and you. And I don't think it will be a problem. And now if we lose one or two guys, whether they're level 50 or level 34, I'm going to feel the pain, and the whole alliance will. But if that's the way it has to be, then so be it. You know,
Well, I mean, again, man,
I'll
I
do
mean, here's
everything
the
in my
thing.
power to keep those people in Nona and try and explain to them and try and get them to, you know, to be decent about it. But at the end of the day, if they're going to quit their team that they've been with for a couple of years just because they
Yeah.
don't want to give somebody a fair shake for a few weeks, I mean, come on.
And again, it has to
Like,
do
we're
with
all adults.
relationship, and on that end, if somebody's going to go and drop because you've got this much animus for somebody that's coming in, and we're going to give this guy a fair shake,
I mean,
then
I
you're
don't
just now turning your back on your entire team and family that you've been playing with, right?
exactly. And not only that, if you're holding that much hate, you're bringing that hate to other situations in the game and causing issues for the
Amen.
alliance.
Yeah.
So if you can't let that shit go, man, fuck, I don't even know if I want him in anymore. And that's something I've been asking myself now since last night, and I don't have an answer yet. But God damn it, I'm a little disappointed in
Understood.
one particular situation. So one person, but we'll see what happens. We're all doing our best, and I believe in my guys. They're all amazing. All the players in Nona are all really amazing people, super gracious. They've been rubbed the wrong way by Key before, and I don't blame any of them for being apprehensive, having questions, maybe being even mad or upset about it. I get it. But
Yet,
how they
again,
deal with that,
again,
I'm sure that almost all of them will impress themselves and me and Inko, et cetera, et cetera. So
again, that's past history, and the same thing on the chef end on what it is that he said and what he wants to do. And that's the part that I would love if Chef would talk into. But
he's
as
here
far as like, I see him here, but as far as like, he's not talking. But and
because
that's
I'm
okay.
talking and
He
you're
doesn't have
talking.
to. Hey, I'm not forcing you, man. But
He's
at the
just not
same time,
talking because we're talking. He doesn't want to interrupt
that
us.
might be it. Yeah. But like I said, going forward, all we can look at is like, if you guys want to, anybody that wants to hold on to past history, that's fine. You hold on to it. I mean, I'm sorry, but you want to drive in the rearview mirror and go backwards. I can't help you there. Because you're going to crash. But as far as that end, I look at going forward and where we're going versus where we've been. That's pretty much the deal on my end.
Okay.
Chef, you can say something now.
So, Chef, you there, buddy? Maybe he's having audio issues. If you can't talk, Chef, you're going to have to exit and come back in. He's not a whiz at Discord. It'll probably take him a few.
Well, he's not muted, so we know that much.
Well,
On an absolute tangent, I hate these Armada events, by the way.
Yeah, they suck.
oh, we love him.
Hey, I like them because, like, as far as like when I can fill up a freaking like all my seats, I think it's pretty cool. It's a good time.
We'll be
Well-
running a crap ton of Armada today.
Well, I mean, your Armadas, because you can go to dark space, your Armadas are more plentiful than the ones in regular space. That's the only problem.
Well, they did fix it where the respawn rate was like significantly more than what it was. So the only issue there is that you've got a bunch of takers on that, like groups wise.
On another note, speaking of events, while we're waiting on to figure out what Chef's got going on, how about the how many of you, be truthful, how many of you dropped a freaking whole paycheck on the or more on this freaking number 2 Captain Pike event?
Captain Pike event. What are you talking about?
The Picard.
Oh,
He's essentially
you said
Pike.
Fuck me up. That is like, yeah, you're right. That is, but I haven't done like crazy amounts. I just do what I do. I mean, if I show up on the boards, it's there. I'm not gonna go and like give Scoplay extra for what it is that I do on a daily basis. Does that make sense?
Just I've seen some of the people spending thousands and thousands of dollars to get essentially another Pike. I think, to me, and personally, I think, it's a little silly. But I mean, to each their own. But I just thought,
Well, that is a Scoplay dynamic. I mean, there's nothing that we can go and throw on that. I mean, unless that's really something that you want to go and do. For me, like I said, as far as like the amount that I'm on, I have not done anything that I normally don't do. I haven't intentionally gone after it. Maybe I should, because like you said, it is another freaking, grinding crew that you can go out there and do some really cool shit with. But at the same time, I don't care that much as far as like on a Pike end. I mean, the Ball Bastard is like really cool and all, but I mean, his new series I haven't really got into. It sucks, but anyway, that's not really a game dynamic.
I can't wait for people to load him up on their ship after spending an exorbitant amount of money, only for me to blow it up after they do it.
Yeah, I know it. Right.
I just can't wait for him to be like, this new Picard that I've, spent, a used Honda Civic on, and then they come at me and you just blow them up.
Right. And take their shit.
Oh my god. I did that. I love doing that with, was it Curran and John Harrison? The people that got spent all this money on them, I still blow them up anyway.
Can you talk yet, Chef?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you guys
We
hear me?
can hear you.
Oh God, thank you.
Yeah, I kicked him out of the podcast. He rejoined, and now it's working.
I don't know what's worse, listening to you guys talk and me running with a pack of squirrels, or just me not talking.
Wait, you got a pack of squirrels? What the what the hell?
Listen to you guys, I was squirreling so much.
All
Anyway,
the stuff
Chef.
he wanted to say and couldn't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Chef, what is what do you have to say? You've heard us say a lot about the the recent switch to Nona and all that stuff. What's your experience? What's your goal? What's going on with that?
Well, thank you for asking. I recently said it to several people. I said, so who was it? Somebody was asking me about me joining Nona. And I go, you guys need to start listening to all the podcasts, because if you listen to Handy when I'm not there, or even when we are together, it's all been part of the plan. He's doing his thing and I'm doing my thing, and it's just coming together. It just happened. It's no different than being friends with Dark. The plan has always been, like Grazi said, you develop friends. Grazi and I have been talking server for months now. We know it's going to happen. It may not happen eventually, but eventually it's going to happen. The odds are in our favor, and all we're doing is building a network of friends. That's all we're doing. Camaraderie. Play your game. Now, that's it. There's no undermining. There's no power grabbing. You're talking to Handy, who's the Diplo. He's not grabbing us to battle the server. He's grabbing us because we're friends. And why not have powerful friends in case there is a server? It just makes sense.
Completely agree. Yeah.
We're friends. It's that simple. It has nothing to do with the server. The only thing it has to do with the server is finally everybody's coming on page and going, we need to weed out the selfish people. And I'm sorry, Key might have had tons of selfishness. We all have. Trojan has, Medic has, I have, we all have. There are times that we've gone against the grain and got our humble pie out and had to eat it. If these people, when it comes to negotiation, 98% of the negotiation is just getting people to the table. If they can get to the table, or in this case, at least say, hey, I don't agree with this person on our team. I don't like having this person on their team. I will support their armadas because that's what's beneficial to the alliance, because it helps get alliance points. It helps with morale. But you don't have to be friends with them. You don't have to talk to them. You don't even have. You can still have them blocked, but you need to support your team. It's that simple. Get over it. If they're willing to humble themselves and go, you know what? I screwed up. I want to join Nona. Coming to Nona, knowing there's people there, I'm still going to do it. I'm not acting arrogant. I'm not throwing it in their face. I commend Key a lot. It's the needs of the many.
He has been trying, truly.
I know.
Key has been trying very hard.
And I'm not
Probably
discounting
a little
anybody's
too
feelings.
much too soon. And I'm going to talk to him about it. Just
Okay, well, I'm
let
not
it
discounting the
happen
people that are
naturally.
upset either.
You can't force it, right? People
No,
need to get
but you got to
used
let
to
it go.
playing with somebody.
Well, then let's look at outcomes. That's the next question you ask him, Andy. What's your end game? Because the end game ain't going to look good for you, because there's a track record of people who have done the same thing and they're all been on the outside looking in and going, this was stupid, and they come back. Or they leave. You're playing here to make friends, and friends mean you got to compromise. You're not always going to win. And yes, people have bad days, bad weeks, bad months. But if they're willing to get over it, you don't need to make them grovel. You don't need to apologize. Just move on. I mean, sometimes you just got to win. You got to lose the battle to win the war. And the war is having friends and being on a great team, and that's Nona. But if they can't understand that you've got to give to take, and if the person that's offending is willing to humble themselves, then why aren't you? Maybe they're not the problem.
Right.
That's it. I mean, that's what I was running.
To be fair, Key has most definitely been the problem many times.
Well, I don't know that side of it. I know that him and I have had issues before,
I
but we've
definitely
always
know
had
that
mutual
side of
respect.
it. Key has said some awful shit.
I don't
But
doubt it.
I'm willing, but I know that our players have said some awful shit to him. So, and then it also comes back to kind of the mob mentality. And when people are ganging up on a particular player, a bunch of people are going to jump on the bandwagon. It's just natural. It's humanity. It's just what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And a team's going to all gang up on somebody if everybody's talking trash or whatever. And I'd like to bridge that gap. And I believe in my guys. I know that they'll give me a fair shake. I don't think it'll be a problem. It's just, we got to ease into it. Key's going to have to prove himself. He knows that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm like I said, we see both sides of the coin, and even then, you've got a whole lot of neutral zone.
I'm really interested to see the conspiracy chef theorist haters. I'm really interested to see what's going to occupy their time in GC now.
Oh my God, classic.
It's not interesting to me. I don't pay it any mind.
Those guys are running out of. Well, let me put it. Your trolls. What do trolls do? The way they gain friends is by gaining anybody that's willing to condone and encourage them picking on an individual person or team. That number of those people that are encouraging that behavior is dwindling fast. Because just like me going over to most, there are people that didn't like me, probably still don't. I don't think so. Or at least maybe their opinion might be changed. That I do agree with, because most was phenomenal. And slowly word of mouth is getting out through the podcast, through my friends, through Handy, through Grazi, whatever. you guys, like you said earlier, you got to look at the person. Did you try talking to them? That's a key quote. Have you tried getting to know them? First thing I did when I came to Handy is,
the biggest mistake people typically make is they think just the way you play in the game, not what you
makes
say.
you an asshole. Makes you an asshole.
Right. Well, it's just whatever your ship flies around and does in the game, who you are. I mean, and come on, that's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? And we all know that, but I think people just either don't think about it or I don't know. But a lot of people will literally think if somebody's flying around blowing some ships up, yeah, well, they're an asshole. Well, that's not true. I mean, we know that fundamentally if you sit down and think about it.
Yeah,
There's so many different reasons. They were probably provoked, or they're a hothead. I mean, some people just have anger issues. They get angry and they can't help themselves. I mean, it doesn't make them a bad person. It means they have an issue.
Right.
Issues that can be
the
worked
only
on.
way you're going to resolve that is to put the bad blood aside and talk it out. Talk it out as if there's not bad blood.
Well, at this point, I think we've come so far to where we were, even just a year ago, even just 6 months ago. I mean, we know who the genuine assholes are. Like, we know who you are. And we're aware, we've been playing with you long enough to know that, yeah, in real life, you're probably also an asshole. And that is evident by the fact that you continue on with your bullshit in GC or, the other things. But I think we know that even at the end of the day, when we have problems with people in the game and we talk smack to one another, when it's all said and done and the game goes off, we don't think about each other in a negative way. Like, I'm pretty sure that most people aren't walking around their kitchen, like, cooking breakfast, being like, "Goddamn Kirk, that son of a bitch." Like, no, that's not what happens.
But I'll guarantee you
I
there's
don't
a
know,
couple
Kirk.
people that do that.
That might happen.
I mean, that could, I'm sure. And for those people who feel that way,
And
the
I am
reason.
joking a little bit. I don't think that
No. I mean, there are people, right? There are people that give me so much ammunition, and I crack them open like an egg. It's too easy. If you continue to, if you continue to take the bait that I throw out there, or if you continue to mess with me when I'm not even messing with you, I'm going to continue to come at you relentlessly. It's a game. It's hilarious. I think it's funny. I think it's funny that I have the ability behind a phone or a tablet screen or a computer screen to raise your resting heart rate and your blood pressure over some
that's what
pixels.
makes you a little bit of a jerk.
And you know
all
what?
you can say is, hey, I just had a lot of fun fucking you up.
The thing is, like, the thing is, at the end of the day, is it my fault? No, man. It's entirely rests on your shoulders, because the fact that you're
That's
able
true,
to,
because they're letting it get to.
the fact that you're able to be manipulated like that shows a deeper issue. You don't. When I put the game down, I'm not sitting there cursing somebody.
All right, like back in the day, right? Muhammad Ali, right? So everybody like gave him all sorts of like grief about the things that he did, but like as far as like when he changed his name from Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali, all right. So one of the things that he had over everybody else is that he would manipulate them by just doing the emotion end of things, and so he would control them. And if a motherfucker can make you mad, like Muhammad Ali did, he would make all these other people mad. Like for instance, like George Foreman, he went in there and was swinging so hard at the guy, he wore himself out. And so, but at the same time, what happened is this guy had so much control of him that if somebody can make you mad, you're giving them that control. Is that not true? So if somebody,
Absolutely
if
true.
they can make you mad, you basically control that guy's day. And so that's what Muhammad Ali did. As far as like he's going in there and he's like doing this stuff, he's saying all this shit, his smack talk, all that other kind of shit. But at the same time, he controlled that guy because he manipulated what he did, because he controlled them by the things that he said, by the things that he did. And that's what Kurt does and a few other folks do on the thing is like, look, you guys are giving that guy control. Why? I'm not on my end. I don't necessarily want to give that, but at times I have to admit that I have given that because it's like somebody pushed a button. But you control somebody by what it is that you're going, and you're manipulating that person by what it is that you're saying and doing. And the same thing like with Muhammad Ali, he's going in there and talking smack, getting you guys to like freaking, when I say you guys, like whoever his opponent was, is to swing harder, wear themselves out, and give everything they got, and he's holding everything in reserve. And then
Right.
he goes and smacks you around.
Right. I think the moral of the story is to understand that, if you find yourself so upset with someone on a game, you've lost already. No matter if you can blow up their ship or
You've
whatever the
lost
case
your
may be,
control. You've lost your
you've
control.
lost.
You've given it to
Yeah.
somebody else. You've given
Yep.
that guy to manipulate you on where you're going.
Yep.
Well, I think that's a good ending note for today's podcast. Don't let other people raise your blood pressure in game.
Right.
You're giving them control.
Kirk lives in your head rent free, man.
All right. On that note, I want to thank everybody that was here: Byrd, Grazi, Chef, and always to my co-hosts. Don't forget to send a message to Scopely saying you want those extra events and extra refines that they have on server 190. They should be enjoyed by everybody on every server. Send a message to Scopely customer support. Let's overload their system. And as always, thanks for listening. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment. It helps with the algorithm. This has been Trek Talk with Tech and Kirk. I'm TechMan16.
I'm Handy.
And I'm Strange Handy.
And thank you guys for having the show.
Perfect. And feel free to jump into the after party.